Alrighty, so I finally got all my bets in and finally are done. Week one's finally here, and I am very excited. Um, Finally, some football, and if it's anything like it has been, between Nebraska Northwestern or Pitt West Virginia or Purdue Penn State, I think it's gonna be a great year, and it's gonna be a great week one. So basically, after last night, I'm now 3-3-1, and then 0-1 in parlays. So we're running right on the edge of 500 here. It's not good, but it's not horrible. So I'll stick with it. Hopefully it'll get better throughout the season. It usually does because first few weeks you got to kind of adjust to who's actually going to be good and who's not. Once you get a hold of what teams are going to be, then it's a little easier from here on out. And I hope to hit the 60% clip. It's always the goal. I think I was at 59% last year, so we're getting better. So week one bets, I have North Carolina plus 1.5, and I also took North Carolina in the money line at plus 10 or plus 110. I just think the whole App State thing's kind of overrated. I know it's at App State, but App State's only really big win against a Power 5 team was back in 2007 when they upset Michigan. So it's been 15, 16 years now. Next I'm taking Oregon plus 17.5. I just think it's too big of a game for that many points. I understand that Georgia's pretty good, but Oregon's going to be pretty good too. I think that defense is pretty legit. Now it just comes down to what Bo Nix can do. But he has played against Georgia and Kirby Smart several times now. Yes, it hasn't been close, but he should be able to help Dan Lanning was on the staff too, but him and Bo Nix together should be able to kind of scheme things around and cover 17.5 points. Sorry, I had him at 17, not 17.5. I'm taking Arkansas minus 6.5 against Cincinnati. I think Cincinnati's still very talented, but with this being week one on the road at Arkansas, tough road environment, I just think Arkansas is going to win by 2 or 3 touchdowns. I understand that Traylon Burks isn't there anymore, but you still got KJ Jefferson. The defense, the defense is still going to be good. I could see Arkansas blowing them out. At the end of the day, Cincinnati's still a Group of 5 school for now, so I'm taking Arkansas minus 6.5. Next is Arizona. Arizona's 6.5 point underdog at San Diego State. Now I know San Diego State was good last year, but I still just don't trust Brady Hoke as their coach. I'm pretty sure they lost a lot from last year's team, and I think Arizona's on the rise. And Power 5 Group of 5, I'm going to take that 6.5 points. And I'm a little high on Arizona right now. I'm also going to take them on the money line at plus 196. So Arizona plus 6.5 and the money line at plus 196. Florida, taking Florida in the swamp. Utah, overrated this year. A lot of people put them in the playoffs, but their win total's at 8, and I think Vegas is trying to tell us that they're going to take a little step back, kind of like how Iowa State was. They don't have as much returning as that Iowa State team did, but they're still, Cam Rising and all those guys, they're still going to have a good defense. But I just think being in the swamp week one, I'm taking Florida plus 3, and then also on the money line at plus 118. I think Billy Napier is going to shock a lot of people, and I wouldn't be shocked if Florida goes 9-3, 10-2 this year. I'm taking Notre Dame plus 17.5. Again, too many points. I think everybody is just on Ohio State. There's just no toughness in their schedule. They're just going to blitz everybody. It's not even be close in any game that they're in. I think they're being overhyped. Yes, they are a good team, and they will probably make the playoffs. But when you get all that talk, and Notre Dame's been hearing all offseason how shit you are, Marcus Freeman, you're not a good coach, I think that's a little motivation. And it's not much of a travel factor. I think you're going to see plenty of Notre Dame fans there because they always travel well. I understand it's in the shoe. It's a night game. But I think Notre Dame's going to have a capable defense and then they're going to have a capable defense, but I think their offense is going to be able to score a lot more than people think. I just don't think Jim Knowles is going to make that much of a factor this season, and especially in the first game. Notre Dame plus 17.5. Louisville on the road at Syracuse in the Dome. I'm taking them minus 4.5. Very high Malik Cunningham, like Scott Satterfield. I think Malik Cunningham could finish in the Heisman race this year. Very underrated. Louisville's not very talented, but neither is Syracuse. And I understand they got Garrett Schrader now, but I just think I think Louisville's going to win by 2 or 3 touchdowns. Yeah, I'm just really high on Malik Cunningham, and I got a lot of faith in that offense. Plus, the defense is supposed to be pretty good this year too, so we'll see. But Louisville minus 4.5. Kentucky minus. I got them at minus 15 against Miami, Ohio. It's a MAC school. You should be able to take care of business. You should win that game by 3 or 4 touchdowns. And if Kentucky doesn't, then Will Levis is overrated, and you're probably going to see 8-4, 7-5 season. I'm taking Army Coastal under 53.5. I just think anytime you play Service Academy, it's going to be low scoring, and 53.5 seems like a lot of points. I understand Grayson McCall's Coastal's quarterback, but I just don't think Coastal's going to have a good enough defense, and I think Army's going to be able to milk the clock. And from what I'm hearing is that Coastal also kind of runs more of an option offense, and I just see a lot of clock coming off, or a lot of time coming off the clock. So Army Coastal under 53.5. Sunday, I'm taking LSU minus 2.5. I upped the odds, or I upped the spread, so I only got it at minus 130, but I'm taking 2.5. I could see this being a 3-point game. I don't see LSU blowing out Florida State. I think Florida State's going to be improved, but with it being in Louisiana, I just think that's good enough spread to take the 2.5 LSU. And Brian Kelly's a good coach. LSU's not as talented as they've always been, but they're still pretty talented. Florida State's talented, but I don't know. I just kind of like the Brian Kelly factor, and I think he's always going to win those close games. So LSU minus 2.5, and for now, that's what I have. That'll be my final. That'll be my final slip for the week 1. I may come on here and say, I'm going to take some in the Clemson game, but I really don't want to bother betting that game. I kind of just want to watch it, kind of see where Clemson's at offensively this year, because the defense can be good. But I do have Georgia Tech as a very talented, or very highly talented team this year, and I just think they're going to be better than what people think. But with this schedule, it's not going to show on their record. But I think they're going to give Clemson a run for their money this year. But I'm staying away from that spread. 22 is just a weird number to me, and yeah, I'm not going with that one. I do have 2 parlays. So I have an underdog parlay of North Carolina, Arizona, and Florida at plus 1191. I just think all 3 of those teams should win their games. Like I said, Utah I think is kind of overrated this year. I think the whole North Carolina going to App State's overrated because they're saying, it's going to be a sellout crowd. Well, the game's in North Carolina, so, I mean, you're probably going to see a lot of Tar Heels there also. And then Arizona at San Diego State. I just think San Diego State's being thrown out of proportion, and I just think Arizona's on the rise. They got a good quarterback from Washington State, and I think they're going to be able to do their thing. So, North Carolina, Arizona, Florida, plus 1191. Now I have a big 10-team parlay, but they're all huge favorites. We got Kentucky, Mississippi State, Ohio State, UCLA, Georgia, Ole Miss, Maryland, Washington, Clemson, North Carolina State, all money lines at plus 144. I just think all these teams should easily win their games. The only one that would probably give me fits is North Carolina State because they're on the road at East Carolina, but I still think they might not cover the spread, but I still think they could win that game by a touchdown. Ohio State, depending on what Notre Dame team shows up, Marcus Freeman can coach. Kentucky should win. Mississippi State, now they did lose to Memphis last year, but there was a very weird call at the end of the game that cost them the game. UCLA take care of business against Bowling Green. Georgia, I think they're gonna quote unquote smoke Oregon, but I'm taking Oregon in points just because it's a premier game. It's a lot of points for a premier game. Ole Miss should easily beat Troy. Maryland should blow out Buffalo. I almost took them at minus 24, but I just want to stay away from Maryland because I don't know about their defense right now. Washington, I think they're completely improved now. They did lose to Montana last year. However, I just think Jimmy Lake just wasn't a good coach, and he just wasn't meant to be there. I think Kalen DeBoer is going to do a good job, and they're going to be just fine. Clemson should be able to take care of business, especially if you're returning everybody and DJ actually throws more touchdowns than picks. And then that was it. So, yeah, 10-team parlay at plus 144. So, that's my week 1 bets for the 2022 season. Let me know what everybody else is betting on for week 1. There's tons of good games on. I just threw a few on there for now. I don't want to go too crazy yet because it's early. We don't know our teams yet, and yeah. Um, so yeah, week one's here. Let's go, baby. Hope you enjoy. Like, share, and subscribe, and hope to see you in the next one. See ya.